Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to get prepared. Okay, so Steph Curry made his return versus the Toronto Raptors, which is, I guess, poetic because the last time we seen Steph play was against the Raptors in the NBA Finals, and Steph looked good. I mean, considering he looked good, right? I'm not saying I wasn't happy to see him out there playing. Uh, I wasn't a little relieved that he got through the game unscathed. I'm not going to say any of that. But the point of this video is, was it worth it? The Golden State Warriors currently, I believe this is still a thing. They have the worst record in the NBA. I could be wrong. They might be third, or they might be have the second worst record, but they're somewhere. But I believe they might be. Sorry, I believe they might be first. Wait, let me look into it real quick. Okay, so this is the Eastern Conference. This is the Western Conference, and the Warriors have the worst record in the NBA right now. All right, just a little pretext. Now, sorry. Now, again, I'm not saying it wasn't nice to see Steph out there in his element playing his game. The Warriors actually looked a lot better in that game than they did all season. But was it worth it? Was it worth possibly re-aggravating that injury? Is it worth it for the rest of the season to have him out there on the floor if it means that he could sustain another injury, which would sideline him even longer? I mean, look at what happened to Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson tried to come back in the NBA Finals, tried to play, and I get it, it's the NBA Finals, but look what happened. Look what was the result. You lost, okay? And not only that, both of them spent a majority of the season out. I don't think, I believe Kevin Durant said he was going to sit out, and I believe Klay Thompson is probably going to be out for the year still. And sometimes things happen. You don't anticipate. Injuries are so unexpected. You don't expect them to happen. You know, they kind of pop up out of nowhere. And Steph could have did something to re-aggravate the injury that he had prior to the season, which kept him out pretty much the entire season. And I don't think it was worth it. I don't think it was worth playing him. I don't think it's worth playing him from henceforth. Sometimes you have to save players from themselves because they have the warrior mentality where the battlefield is their home. They want to kill there, they want to die there. I mean, that's just how it is. It's almost a thing of, and I hate this in superhero movies and superhero TV shows when they say this, but it's almost a thing where you have to save the hero from themselves. Who's going to be there to save them while they're out saving everybody else? Who's going to be there to save them? Who's there protecting them? And sometimes you got to treat these basketball players in that, along that line of thinking. You have to protect them from themselves because they don't know any better. The basketball players are like children. They want. Sometimes you have to stop them from putting themselves in harm's way. So I'm not saying Steph is going to get hurt. I'm just saying you don't want to run the risk, especially when your team is out the playoffs. I can see if the Warriors were on the cusp of making the playoffs or in the playoff position, then maybe you bring Steph back. He could be that X factor. But they're out the playoffs. They have the worst record in the NBA. They're going into next season. They're going into the off season with the likelihood of having a top 5 pick. So there is no benefit to him playing besides pleasing the fans. And if you approach it like that, look, the Warriors have to ask themselves, do we plan on being a contender next year? Do we plan on being a contender the following season? We do not want to hurt our all-time great player by playing a bunch of meaningless games to please the fans. The fans would have to understand that sometimes it's best to just protect the player for the future. Sometimes it's just better to do that. But this instant gratification shit where everybody wants just the immediate euphoria of whatever it is that they desire, and they don't give a damn about the ramifications that may follow. But, let's get to it.
How good was this to see? Get Richard Jefferson over here. Steph Curry had missed 58 games with a broken left hand, and everyone, including LeBron, thrilled to see him back. And there's why. Look at the lefty behind the back pass.
And the fact that people were trying to say, should he even play? Of course he needs to play. This is what we want to see.
He doesn't need to play. The Warriors aren't making the playoffs. So what the fuck? What is he? I'm sorry. What is he playing for? The reason why he's saying he needs to play is because we're fans. We need to see him play. We went an entire NBA season without seeing Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, without the Warriors being one of the best in the league. We need him. We need this. It's like a drug to us. We need it. There's no benefit in it. The risk dramatically outweigh the positives that come out of this. And this is the point I'm trying to make.
The NBA fans and players want to be a part of.
Second quarter here, and here's his first bucket in his return.
Well, look, we know what he's going to be able to do, like the float shots. This is, like, he is one of the few perimeter guys that is a highlight machine without ever giving a dunk to it.
The net doesn't move on that three, and then here's your patented Steph. Beating the shot clock buzzer. This one's from 32 feet away.
And this is what he practices. This is what he does. It doesn't even touch the... Look at this. His feet aren't set. He's running back already. Again, greatest shooter of all time.
Third quarter, Warriors down 9 to the Raptors, not pictured. Curry, here's a little more from Steph here. And this one, his and one, he's going to let everybody know this is a 4-point play.
Oh, this is a 4-point play. Then he does his little dance. He does his little 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we get it, Steph. You're awesome.
You've seen that up close and personal.
Way too many times. A lot of nightmares about that.
He made this a game. Raptors are a great team, and the Warriors are down only 7, and Steph taking it to the...
And I can see that Steph is having a good time out there. He's having fun. I'm happy for him. But sometimes you have to save them from themselves. Sometimes you have to save them from themselves because sometimes players don't know any better. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say sometimes players don't care. Sometimes they just don't care about the consequences, and sometimes you have to protect them from that.
Holds a 5-point game. Steph would finish with 23 points in 27 minutes. But Toronto was too good, and Pascal Siakam was a big part of the reason why. Here he is taking it to the hole as Toronto gets the win, 121-113. But for Steph, a very positive step back in his return.
Are y'all seeing what I'm saying? Now, I did say the Warriors look better tonight than they did over the course of the season. But this team is 14-49. Steph Curry came back. He did score 23 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, almost damn near triple-double, I guess. He shot 3 of 12 from three-point. So that means those 3 three-pointers that they showed, and they were glorifying, like, he's the greatest shooter of all time, which Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. He's the greatest shooter I've ever seen. But he also missed 9 of those three-pointers. If James Harden came out in a playoff game or a regular season game and he shot the ball like this, we'd be ready to murder him for it. But because it's Steph, and Steph is a good guy, and we love him and all this other stuff, and we love the kind of person he is, and he's well respected, we're able to look past this because we're happy to have him back. But 3 of 12 is not a good shooting performance from 3. I can only imagine what his field goal numbers are looking like. I mean, at one point, I watched some of the game last night, and at one point, I think his field goal, he was like 6 of 16 at one point, and that's not his total. That was at the end total. I'm not sure if it wasn't, but when I was watching the game, I saw that he went 6 for 16 from the field, which is not good. It's less than 50%. It's way less than 50%. I believe it's around 30, maybe 30, between 30 and 35, somewhere around there. Probably even lower, but I'm just, it's like between 30 and 35. So that's not good. A great shooter like him, between 30 and 35% shooting from the field when you played, 27 minutes? I don't know. I mean, it's iffy, but it is his first game back. I'm just saying, this could have waited, man. Like, you could have waited until next season. You could have rehabbed as much as possible. You could have rehabbed as much as possible. And I didn't know. You know what? I don't know for sure, but I did see this like a week ago. They said that Steph Curry was supposed to be in the G League. He was supposed to play a G League game there. I didn't hear anything about it after. Nobody, I didn't see anything on the ticker about him actually playing, so I gotta look it up. But that would have been a perfect place to put him in the G League with some, low level players where he can pretty much run around, do whatever, as little physical contact. Even if he just scrimmages with a G League team to stay fresh. I mean, I just don't see the benefit in him playing. That's all I'm saying. But let's get to it.
It felt great. It was a lot of energy. Just anticipation for tonight. Just getting back out there on the floor, just seeing what was going to happen. Didn't really know what to expect, how to handle like the minute restriction and all that. But throughout the 27 minutes, I felt good. So I'm excited to be back out there.
Thought he looked great. He moved well. To me, it feels like, it's on again. We're now through the woods. We can start looking ahead and using these games to prepare ourselves for trying to reach a higher level of play.
This team plays 63 games. That means they have 19 games left to go. If Steph plays for the rest of the season, even if it's on a minute restriction, anything can happen between now and the end of the regular season for him to re-aggravate that hand. And Steph is a shooter. He's made his money being a shooter. He's made his name off of being a great shooter. If that hand is fucked up at some point, if he, hits somebody's shoulder coming down off of a shot, if he jams it, if he twists it, anything like that, it is very easy, especially in the game of basketball, to get a finger popped or whatever. Like, it's easy to have your hands be affected in some way, be impacted by some body part, some impact, some anything, even hitting the floor. Anything could happen that could cause this guy to miss even more time. Because I believe at one point last season during the NBA Finals, Klay Thompson was asked, was he going to return? And look, I'm just going to say this. He shouldn't have returned. I believe he even broached those sentiments that he wanted to sit out. He didn't want to play, but I guess he felt the pressure from the media. He felt the pressure from the organization, and he kind of was thrusted into that situation, which did not end well for Klay Thompson. So, I'm just going to say, I think that he should sit out. And I think it's the reasonable thing to do, because anything can freaking happen. I'm just saying. All right.
So we talked to Warriors reporter Nick Friedel last night ahead of Steph coming back, and he said that the Warriors almost wanted to play the song Joy to the World ahead of the game because Steph brings this joy back into basketball and back into their team. How good did he look to you?
He looked good, and for the Warrior fans, we all knew that this day was coming, right? We knew that they were going to have a stretch where they struggled, which they did all season long.
A stretch. They had a stretch where they struggled. You mean they played over 60 games and they played like shit those 60 games? Yeah, it was a stretch. You got it. It was a stretch.
But then Steph came back, and we know that they're going to get Klay back, and then you know that Draymond is going to be back doing what he's doing, and then they have a potential top 5 pick coming. So their team is loaded. They added Andrew Wiggins, who is a much better fit than D'Angelo Russell. So they've always known that it's coming, and this is a first step. This is a first step in getting him back, having this excitement in the building, and then next thing you know, it's going to be Klay.
To me, there are two separate conversations to be had. The first is the short one. For all the people who are asking, well, why would you even...
He did go 6 for 16. So that must have been you know what I did? I watched the rest of the game. I watched the entire game. I watched the entire fourth quarter. And at the end of the fourth quarter, because I turned it off after Pascal Siakam hit that layup, I was like, yeah, the game over, so I don't have to watch the rest. He went 6 for 16, man. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I think it's too huge a risk. It's too huge a risk.
bother bringing him back?
We can't answer dumb people though.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's dumb for people to sit here and say, yeah, I think it was risky for him to come back. Because obviously we have no, I don't know, I guess we have no opinion that should matter because we're not, look, whatever Richard Jefferson feels about people who has opposing views to him, that's fine. But we're talking about the livelihood of a guy who makes his money a certain way. And when an injury prevents him from being able to do what it is he does best, I mean, and a lot of times when you talk to these athletes, the best times of their life is when they're in the prime of their profession. Like when they're in their prime, when they're, at their peak. Sometimes these are the best times of their life, man. And when you take that away from them, some of them can't handle it. Some of them can't handle it. Some of them find it hard to transition between being an athlete and being either a regular person or moving on to some other profession or something like that. I'm pretty sure Steph wants to play a few more years. I'm pretty sure that he has no immediate plans anytime soon to retire. You're putting that at risk. Playing a meaningless game at the end of a season where your team will most likely be will have a top five pick, and you're playing meaningless games. Oh well, but Steph Curry, he needs to get ready. He needs to practice. He needs to, get some games in because he doesn't want to be resting going into next season. Still not worth it though, because if he re-aggravates that hand, then he has to sit out for longer. Then he has more rehab time. And the reason why I bring this up is because we've seen this already. Within the last year, we've seen this already. Where a player will rush themselves back and they wind up getting hurt even more than what they were initially. Look at Kevin Durant. Look at Klay Thompson. Two of his teammates. Like, they've both been out all fucking year. And look at the Kawhi Leonard situation where, he thought that his injury was a lot more serious than the San Antonio Spurs thought. The Spurs wanted him to come back anyway. They even were trying to put pressure on him to come back. And he wanted to get out of there because he felt like his injury was a lot more serious than they were willing to take account for. And he took his own. This is why I say Kawhi Leonard is just a different type of dude, man. And I think that if more players thought on his level, they could be as successful as he is right now. Because instead of him being pressured into coming back early for the San Antonio Spurs and playing, and you still notice that he may still be laboring a little bit with whatever injury he had when he was in San Antonio. But instead of him succumbing to the pressure of coming back just to please a bunch of fucking fans who don't care about your life, who don't give a shit about you, they'll make fun of you if for whatever reason your name is in the news for whatever ridiculous reason. They'll sit there and make fun of you, laugh at you, and all this other shit. But the moment you fucking pass away, they want to cry like it was the saddest time in their life. I mean, these people don't care about these fucking athletes. So doing things like this to please them, I don't know. I don't think that's enough, man. And this is the standpoint that Richard Jefferson and anybody else who thinks along those lines, this is the standpoint they're riding with is we are fans. We want to be pleased. Steph coming back pleases us, even if it makes no logical sense for him to come back. It pleases us. And I'm pretty sure this pleased Steph, man. But sometimes, like I said, you have to save the athlete from themselves. Because sometimes they don't give a shit about the consequences. Sometimes they don't understand the consequences. Either way is bad.
We spend our entire lives answering dumb people. And here's the answer. Because he's a basketball player, for crying out loud. The games are on the schedule. Look how much fun he was having.
Yeah, that's... Just because the games are on the schedule doesn't mean he need to put his ass on the court. That's not that. To be honest, I'm not even gonna answer that because it doesn't make any sense. But like I said, sometimes you gotta save these athletes from themselves because these athletes are almost programmed to be self-destructive. And you kind of have to keep monitoring them, making sure they don't fucking destroy themselves based off of whatever fucking bullshit emotion that they're feeling at the moment. They're like children. I don't know. This is the way I'm looking at it.
Look how much fun he made it for everybody else. These games matter regardless of what the standings say.
That is stupid. It's like, all right. Now, I'm not gonna say it doesn't. I'm not gonna say what he said didn't make any sense. When you are a losing team, when you have the worst record in the NBA, every game matters because of the bottom line. Every game matters because the fans still come to your games. The fans still invest money into your team. You don't want to act like the games don't fucking matter because you don't want your fans to act like the games don't matter. And then what's going to happen? Then they're going to stop going. They're going to stop buying. They're going to stop spending their fucking money. So in that respect, the games does matter. And Steph coming back and you putting Steph Curry is making his return tonight. Come see him. I'm pretty sure every fucking Golden State Warriors fan, even the Warriors fans that didn't go all season because the team was so terrible, they are going to come out of the fucking woodwork to watch this dude. And I get it. It's a money thing. Then just say that. If you think it's a positive because of the financial aspect of his return, then say that. Don't sit there and act like this is good for him. It's good for us. It's good for everybody because it's some good childlike feeling. And that's not the case. That's not the case. It's not beneficial other than monetary. It's not beneficial to him. It's really not. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, man.
Say something randomly.
Yes.
Steph Curry also likes money. People that don't know that Steph Curry likes money, he knows that every time he steps on the floor, ratings go up. NBA fans want to see him. Ratings go up. That means Steph gets to make more money next CBA. So he wants to go out there.
It's stupid to... All right, Steph has been out for 60 games. About. All right? So they've been deprived of a Steph Curry for 60 games. You mean to tell me for like 20 games left, with 20 games left, it's going to make such a huge financial... Like it's not going to make a difference. The league right now is so full of young talent. The league right now is so full of veteran talent. The league right now is so interesting to watch. I don't think it mattered that Klay Thompson was injured all year. I don't think it mattered that Kyrie and Kevin Durant missed most of the season. I don't think that it matters that Draymond has been in and out. I don't think it matters that Steph has been out. I don't think it matters, man, because you have Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Zion finally came back. Fucking Ja Morant, the Boston Celtics, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Clippers. You have all these teams, the Sixers. You have all these great teams who are putting on shows every single night. I'm pretty sure the league's not lacking. The interest is still there. I'm pretty sure Golden State Warriors fans still went to the games even though their team sucks, man, because the interest is still there. Even bad teams, year after year, even year after year, bad teams still draw some interest from their fan base. So, I don't know, man. Look, I'm just going to say the league isn't missing anything with him sitting out for the rest of the season because they already went a majority of it without him. So, that doesn't make any sense. That's all I'm saying.
We've had an entire NBA season with basically no Steph Curry and no Kevin Durant. These are two of the best and most popular players in the sport. So let's put that aside. Then let's talk about what they can turn into.
Yes.
Because for Golden State, this is just a lost season with all the injuries and everything else. But you mentioned they flipped D'Angelo Russell for Wiggins.
Better fit
right short term, but in the long run, is this the basics of a team? You got Draymond Green, Steph, Klay, and Andrew Wiggins. Is that the core of a team that can be a championship team next year?
I'm going to say not next year, but I do believe that the Warriors have another championship in them before they are done. I think with Klay not being 100% healthy, let's say Klay doesn't play in any back-to-backs. That means he's only going to play 65 games. Of those 65 games, maybe 20 of them it takes for him to really get to be himself. So it's going to take a little bit of time.
Wiggins.
I love Wiggins. I love Wiggins in this because he's going to be the third, maybe fourth best player. Depending on who they draft, he could be the fifth best player. If you can drop Andrew Wiggins to your fifth best player behind Clay, Steph, Draymond, and whoever they draft, if he could be your fifth best player, now you're looking at a great team.
Probably good to see Steph and Wiggins, how they play together too a little bit.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And Wiggins is going to have to raise his level defensively, very similar to what Andre Iguodala did, very similar to, all the different guys that...
Wait, first of all, we're not going to sit here and trash Andre Iguodala, okay? Because before Steph Curry became Steph Curry, Andre Iguodala was the man on that fucking team. Andre Iguodala was the man in Philadelphia. Andre Iguodala was the man in fucking, what was the other team? Denver. Like, Andre Iguodala was the man. We're not going to sit here and trash Andre Iguodala like he was some fucking, what do you call it? Mediocre backup bench player that would just come in as a specialist and do nothing pretty much for the rest of the fucking year. He was just a special certain situation kind of guy. No bullshit. All right, Andre Iguodala was the man. All right, I mean his career right now because he's older, it's kind of sputtering. But when he first got to Golden State, he was the fucking man. All right, so let's get that straight. But that's about it with that, I guess.
come into that.
Oh, shit. Sorry. All right, so I decided I wanted to look into something a little more. So I was looking into the TV ratings because he was talking about the TV ratings are going to be better. So I was interested to see what the TV ratings were like, and from what I can understand, all right, TV ratings over the past few seasons have been relatively dipping. Okay, and I can say this with certainty: the TV ratings are going to continue to slip because people aren't really watching TV like that anymore. The diehard fans who's really committed to watching basketball, they have NBA League Pass, which you can watch from your phone. You can watch on the cable box, which is you're not watching the actual television. You're watching a specific channel. So you can get it on your computer. You can watch it pretty much anywhere you want to. Anywhere you are, you can watch an NBA game if you have NBA League Pass. You also have the internet. I mean, you have YouTube. You have all these external sites that are streaming these games where you don't even have to pay for cable because they have them on there. You have Hulu, who's showing sports on their television, on their streaming service, as opposed to people watching it on television. They can watch it on there. You have all these different alternatives to being able to watch these sporting events. You don't have to watch TV. And I even looked at an article from last year. I believe it was late April of last year, right before the playoffs started, and they said how the league had a 4% dip in TV ratings. And that's because people are finding other sources to watch their sports. Like, I don't even watch TV anymore. I have cable. I have damn near every channel. I don't watch TV, though. I don't watch it. I mean, I'll check out a movie here, movie there, television, take a break from, playing my game or doing other things, and I'll sit there and I'll watch something. But if I do feel in the mood to watch anything, I'll sit there and I'll watch YouTube and I'll watch my game highlights on there. I'll watch any news coverage, whether it's FS1, whether it's ESPN First Take, like anything I'm going to watch, I usually watch it on YouTube anyway, man, because I can pick and choose what segments I want to look at. I can pick and choose what segments I may want to do a video on, and then I take it from there. I don't have to worry about sifting through all this stuff that I don't give a shit about. And I can see that being a huge reason why the TV ratings are dipping, because people are just not watching TV anymore. This is why, and somebody said this, and this is very true, when they were having a discussion about canceling TV shows and how the ratings for these TV shows just aren't there. And sometimes these different sources, these different resources that keeps track of TV viewership, so they don't take into account the streaming aspect. They don't take into account, the alternative to actual cable television versus other things where these people may be still watching the stuff. They're watching it from somewhere else. But, I just felt like I wanted to touch on that a little bit, man. I think that the league is still in a good spot. I think people are just as interested now as they probably have ever been with watching sports. You even have people that don't really watch sports that sit there and they'll watch a weekend game. They'll watch the All-Star weekend. They'll watch the NBA playoffs. So it's not like the league is suffering to that degree. Now, if there's one aspect that the league is struggling in right now, is the fact that they have this fucking this sister league sucking from their tit every fucking year without bringing anything crucial to the fucking table. But that's a different conversation for a different day, I guess. All right.